Megan, great to be with you today. Thanks so much for spending some time here and really keen for our conversation. And I want to point out this is another great example of a wonderful conversation that's about to happen that came about because of LinkedIn. We met via LinkedIn and here we are, and I'm sitting here learning from you. So today's topic is mastering our mind and energy to win more deals and manage complex sales cycles. Like, who in the world wouldn't want to know more about that? So just from already having conversations with you and your wealth of experience, 2 decades of work around energy and mindfulness, over a decade of sales experience, I know that what you're about to say is going to be very pertinent. So everybody pay attention. You have our undivided.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited. If I ever write a book someday, it'll be on this topic. I'm very passionate about it, and really just came about organically using it in my own experience in my own personal life, and then brought that into my business life. And then before I knew it, I was helping and guiding others along the way. So really excited to share and learn from you today as well.
Very good. Yeah, I really appreciate the time. And certainly, I don't think some of these are not things that we commonly talk about, think about, hear about. But on the same token, I think a lot of us spend a lot of time in our own head and focused on our own, state, whether we're focusing on our wellness or not. And so I think, kind of mastering mindset is number one. I will tell you that mindset for me, realizing that I don't ever have to be the smartest person in the room, which is good because I never am, but knowing that it's really for me about bringing the best of myself to each meeting or situation, understanding where I can apply my unique strengths and superpowers. Mindset has been number one, but then energy too. How do you manage and optimize that? How do I know, when and how to really show up as my best self? What have you found works best?
Oh my gosh, so many things. I find the things that get me into flow and ultimately keep me in alignment are the things that help me show up for my meetings, my prospects, my colleagues, my clients the best. And that can look very different for a lot of people. For me, I notice a huge difference if I'm eating clean, if I'm spending time in nature, if I'm stepping away and getting rest. I notice a huge difference if I'm slowing my brain down, either maybe doing yin yoga or I'm doing mindfulness or meditation, but essentially tuning inward and building that self-reserve of energy is so important, because in sales, we're go, go, go. We're filled with passion and drive, and there's so much to do all the time. I find just finding those moments that just spark joy, get you into those creative moments where you can solve problems more creatively, think outside the box, and it just flows in. You can tap into your intuition and know, is this the right time to reach out? Should I wait a couple of days? Is this the right resource? Is this the right person? So I think a lot of things, but a lot of people, exercise is a solution for them in that way, or they'll go do acupuncture or Reiki or some kind of energy work. But essentially doing the things that increase your vibration, make you feel good, and help you feel joy.
This is a phenomenal conversation already. It's already got me thinking in a lot of different ways. And I think a lot of reason, Megan, is we're not raised this way, right? We're thrown into situations, we get a job, and it's go do your job. And I don't think that there's a lot of time spent leading and coaching around that type of philosophy. Now, I'm fortunate. I work for a company where wellness is a big area of focus, but we're not necessarily raised this way. And I even admit in my own life, I have a lot of these challenges. I probably only get about 5 hours of sleep. You and I share a commonality. We have toddlers at home, but I exercise, I eat well, I love being outside. And there's a mantra that we actually have at Microsoft, and it's around wellness and fitness. And it's just move. You don't have to do it perfectly. Go take a meeting outside. The beauty of all of the remote work is you could go for a walk, put your headphones in, and achieve a lot of the things that you're looking to achieve. Having a clear head, having the energy, knowing when you're at your best. My wife calls it Monday Carson. She always tells me I want more of Monday Carson, because I come out like firing on all cylinders. I'm listening to music and I'm like just getting into a place where I can't be stopped. And I think that's what we as sellers need to focus on, whether we're being led that way and coached that way in our organization or not. Manage thyself.
Oh my God, 100%. And I think two things that come to mind is one, so many people think it needs to be this like big ordeal. I've got to go dedicate 90 minutes to do X, Y, and Z. But really, you can do 5 minutes of connecting your feet with the ground, get outside, get some sun, connect with nature. There's like over 20 peer-reviewed studies that show the impact of doing that. Drinking more water throughout the day. It doesn't have to be this long, set out, planned event. It could be just a couple minutes here and there scattered throughout the day that make all the difference in the world. So I think that's really important to call out too, because we're busy. We have a lot to do. We're managing work, we're managing relationships, we're managing our home, our own wellness. So just understanding that it can be those small things that just make all the difference in the world, that keep you in these flow states. The other thing I would say is a lot of people, it's maybe easier to get into that state when you're doing something you enjoy, but maybe take something you don't enjoy as much, that doesn't light you up or energize you as much, and pair it with something that feels really good. There's specific healing frequencies that help raise your vibration and make you feel good. And all you have to do is listen to it. You can find them on Spotify. They're called solfeggio frequencies. And I'll listen to that when I'm like updating Salesforce, or I'm trying to come up with more like creative or strategic prospecting. I want to rewrite things. I want to create a new deck. And traditionally, those things maybe don't energize me as much as meeting with a customer or client, but I'll still get into flow states because I'm tapping into that energy. I'm listening to that music or doing things that feel good.
See, this is so impactful. And I have to say, again, it was shedding my old skin made all the difference in the world, because when I started in my sales career in my 20s and in my 30s, I was just a workaholic. And I drove myself to these just ridiculous levels. And everybody'd always say, you're going to burn out. And I'd scoff at that. And as I got older, and I also, led teams, and I would actually look at when people would schedule intentional time for themselves to focus or do things like that, I would almost inside scoff at that. And then I started adopting it because I'm like, you know what? I'm always running back to back. I'm exhausted. The second I walk out this door, I'm husband and dad, and you just get swept up in everything all the time, and it's too much. And so I started intentionally scheduling time to do these things that I needed to do, like just checking email or checking my messages, or honestly taking a step back. And you and I were talking about before, creating templates for big meetings or things like that. Like, what are the big problems? How do I focus on those rather than just running in the mud? And you can make it things that you enjoy doing. Like, I don't really enjoy running a whole lot. I do have a treadmill, but what I enjoy doing is I'll listen to podcasts or I'll watch shows while I'm on the treadmill, and that will get me to do it.
Yeah.
And because honestly, in a house full of 5 people, I rarely get to pick what I watch. So that is my time where I get to pick what I watch and do. You can walk, you can bike during calls. There's so many different ways. You can get a standing desk, but schedule intentional time to do the things that you need to do. Even if it's just preparing for the big meetings, if it's the big rocks, these are your non-negotiables. And I have learned that I have to schedule my non-negotiables to make sure they get done.
I'm ruthless with that.
I love it.
Schedule, I have to control it. I have so many passions. There's so much I want to do. There's so much I want to get done. And I have a lot on my plate personally, professionally. And so I always block time. There's specific times that I'm strategically prospecting. There's specific times where I'm just getting in the zone and preparing for a meeting and like researching to the nth degree on a specific account or the people that I'm meeting with, or figuring out how I'm going to multi-thread. That's all blocked time in my schedule. And the treadmill, I have a little treadly right behind me here, and it slips under. This is an adjustable desk. So if I'm sitting, I just keep it back behind me. It's like 70 pounds. So I can just rotate it if I want to walk and work or research or do things at the same time, which goes in alignment with the Microsoft kind of like motto of just moving.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be an hour long, intense run. It could just taking a couple steps can get that energy flowing and release some of the blocks and energy you're holding that feel dense, that hold us back.
I think whether we like to work out or not, we would all admit that when we're finished, we feel good. And why wouldn't you want to go into a meeting at 80, 90, 100% as opposed to like 30, 40, or 50%? You go in with a clear head. Spending time in nature, scientifically proven
Yep.
to improve pretty much everything about your health and wellness. And that's why I think, we've got to make sure we prioritize that. I loved what you said too, Meghan, about being ruthless around scheduling. That's an area where I got better at over time as well. See, I think in this day and age, especially with a lot of working remote, people will literally just schedule time on your calendar. If you don't block it off, they will
Do
take
not
that
book.
time.
No
Yeah,
meetings.
exactly. And it's
Yeah.
it's an area, it's good to a degree because you end up having, more ability to connect and have conversations. But at the same time, like if that happens enough, you literally wind up with no time to do the big rocks and the things that you need to get done. So,
Yep.
I'll go through my schedule every single day and I will ask myself, is this mission critical? Do I have to get this done today? And if I don't and it can wait, I will push it. I'll be very respectful about it. Let them know, hey, this is why I need to move this conversation. I'm still prioritizing it. I want to have it. And I'm happy to IM you in the interim, but I need to move this to tomorrow or next week or whatever it is because of that. You got to be ruthless with scheduling. This is something that I picked up a few years back. See, I think the magic of being in sales is that when you have your real awakening is when you learn that there's still more that you could do better. And, when you realize that, you need other people and you need to, continue to pick up new skills and things of that stature, that's what it's all about. And so that's why I love having conversations like this, because I think you're giving us a lot of things that we don't inherently think about, that are not trained often, that we have to embrace and understand so that we can unlock our best selves. Nobody talks about the inner work. And, I'd love to think, I do a lot of reading and I love to read books written by or about, great athletes, great coaches, because they're the greatest competitors. They're on a big stage. They do things for a lot of, under a lot of pressure for a lot of bucks. And there's a lot of similarities in selling and career and life than there are to sports. I'd love to hear your thoughts, Meghan, on how do we unlock our true inner power. Phil Jackson, I read his stuff and it's all about being mindful, being in the moment, focusing on the current play. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how do we unlock that inner work.
Oh, so many things to talk about here. And I would say I definitely the sports component and athletics resonates. That's where it all started for me. I was a high performance athlete. I was super privileged and had an opportunity to meet with Olympians every single year. My mom let me go to these swim camps and learn from the best of the best. Every single one of them would tell you about the power of your mind, visualization, and the inner work that it took for them to get there. Not just the endless hours in the pool and outside of the pool cross training, but the inner work that they were doing. So it was ingrained in me so early, and then brought that into my career. I wish people could have that without being an athlete and be exposed to that without being an athlete, because it's so powerful. But as far as unlocking those resources, I mean, first of it, the beginning is just acknowledging that you have true inner power, that you actually do have control over your experiences, not because you're a controlling individual, but because you can control your emotions and you can control your thoughts and what you choose to focus on. And whatever we choose to focus on expands, we get more of it. I notice if I'm focused on everything that's going wrong and all the things that are stressing me out and burning me out and not working, all I'm met with is more of what's not working. It just keeps coming to my awareness. But if I just make a quick shift of what is working, what's going well, what am I grateful for? What are the prospects or champions or influencers that I'm meeting with that I love, that I want more of? And why do I love connecting with these people? What are they doing in the sales cycle that's so valuable to me? I shift the momentum, and all of a sudden I start to create more relationships, attract more individuals that are just like that. I have in my mind these like key people I've met with or sold to in the past that are just like, more of this, please. They're the best. And the more I acknowledge that and have gratitude for that and feel what it feels like to connect with those individuals And the results of meeting with those types of people brings more to my life. I had somebody reach out a couple of weeks ago, and she reached out and said, I'm doing all the technical things right. Like, I'm everything that all the books tell you to do and all the managers, best salespeople tell you to do, I'm doing. But my prospecting isn't bringing in the opportunities that I need right now. It's not giving me the fruits of that labor. So what is it? So we had one Reiki session, or an energy healing session, essentially, one coaching session. And a week later, she messaged me and she's like, I have another $1 million+ opportunity for Q4 this year. This like ideal champion. This is the scenario. I did all the things. And those things were, go connect in nature. Spend time focusing on the types of champions that you want to spend time with that are valuable to you. What are deals that have worked well? And what did you do in those deals to manage yourself during that time? She started redoing those things, and now she's back in it.
I think that's amazing, Meghan, to point out, because often it's just kind of that revisitation of what matters most. And sometimes I've got to shrink my bubble. I've got to get back to, okay, who am I? Who is my core self? And I love that you made that that correlation with athleticism. I think a lot of people, I mean, they want to be great. They just don't necessarily have the roadmap. They don't know exactly where they want to go, because it's all about taking what you're passionate about, what you're great at, and figuring out, how do I replicate that to deliver wins for other people? I started reading a book recently, the Champion's Mind, and it's actually all about that. It's related to sports, but applicable to literally everything that we just talked about. And so I constructed kind of a grid for myself for, we just started a new fiscal year not too long ago, and it's, Platinum Club is the biggest award in Microsoft. So it's like, working with my team about having a platinum mindset. Set big goals. Even if you don't hit them, like, you're still better than you probably were. Set aggressive goals and keep working toward them, because guess what? Even if you don't get them this year, you'll eventually get there. Also, like, aspirational and colleague mentors. I'm always seeking people that are doing it great, because I want to learn from them. I want to assimilate that into my process. And guess what? If I do, I'm better. I'm better than I was. Find these people that are doing what you want to be doing. Go out, talk to them, learn from them, because the beauty of this is a lot of people like you will share if asked. And I think that's key. So go out and find that. And that was one of the lessons from the book, is that if you can see greatness in others, then it likely means that it resides within you. You've got an inkling toward that greatness. You see it in someone else. So go out and find out what's making them tick and apply that to what you do. And the last thing I would say on that is around mindset is resilience. Like, I can't tell you. I mean, you've seen the memes, right? Of the, Michael Jordan took more shots than anybody in history, and he's the greatest of all time. But practical application, like, I can't tell you how many times I've lost jobs. I've lost massive deals. I've been in a place where my reputation was horrible, like that I couldn't get the job done type of thing years ago. And yet there's a decision that we make when we're at these impasses. What am I going to do from here? Yeah. And I made the decision to get up and fight back harder. There's a scene at the end of Rocky 1, which is one of my favorite scenes in the history of films. And it is that scene where he is knocked down in the final round. His whole goal is just to go the distance. He gets knocked down in the 14th, not the 15th round, but gets knocked down by Apollo Creed. And he's literally sitting there like in anguish trying to get up. And even Mickey, his trainer, is telling him, stay down. But he gets up anyway. And I could watch that, and it's like I could literally I get chills thinking about it, because it's like that is how we often feel in our career. You've got the decision to get up under all circumstances. And frankly, that is the only reason I've been successful, is because I won't stay on the mat. I keep getting up. I keep looking for new ways to learn and grow, better myself. And that's why I'm here.
Oh, two like super critical things that come up for me when you're sharing that. One is cognitive agility and its role in resilience, and knowing that there's an infinite number of paths to get you where you're trying to go, and having that abundance mindset of, it doesn't necessarily need to be this account in this way at this time. Like, expand your mind, be open. There's so much opportunity out there. It can come to you in a different way if you're open, if you're aligned, if you're vibrating at a high frequency, essentially feeling more joy and grace and ease in your life, you're in flow. So being flexible and knowing that there's so many alternate paths versus getting into this like rigid mentality of it needs to happen this way at this time with this person. I find that's like one of the most limiting things. Now I lost the other one that I was going to say, but that's visualization. You mentioned like being on that podium and winning that award. I remember way earlier in my career, I went to my like first corporate event, and there were all these President's Club people on the stage. I had never heard of President's Club, didn't even know what it was. And they were these multi-million-dollar centers that were top performing in the nation. And I'm brand new and like maybe 4 months into my role. And I look at my friend and I'm like, I'm going to be on that stage next year. I want to be on that stage. And for the next 6 months, I visualized myself on that stage. I brought it to life in my mind. What did it feel like? Who am I celebrating with? Who's the first person I'm calling? People are coming up to me, asking me, how did you do it? What did you do? Look at all those lives you impacted. And I would see it in my mind over and over and over again until it felt real, because the mind doesn't actually know the difference between something that actually happened and a vivid imagination. Your mind doesn't know that there's a difference.
Yeah.
So I brought it to life. It felt real. And then I was on that stage. And now I do that with everything. Now I'm always skipping to the end, imagining it as if it's already happened and everything fell into place. And then all those details tend to just work themselves out and everything does fall into place and you get there.
It's true. It's like I've literally crafted a blueprint to win these awards, and daily I go through my list of non-negotiables before I get sucked into all the minutia and the messages and all the things that have to be done. But take a step back, make sure you're prioritizing those daily non-negotiables. Go down that list every day. Am I checking off these milestones toward my goal? And if you're not, then restructure. And it's often small tweaks that you can make every day to get better at those types of things and to optimize your best self. Meghan, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. And we're going to have to do this again sometime. Yes. I'm learning a lot from you, and I wish you much success.
Thank you so much. This was so fun. I'd do it anytime.
Very good. Well, thanks. And we'll see you again soon.
Okay. Take care.